You are now listening to the Do It Movement podcast, where we share our experiences in real estate investing and encourage you to take action. You don't want to miss what we have in store today, so let's welcome our host, Martine Richardson, and our co-host, Lord Eubanks.
What's up today, Do It Movement listeners? This is your host, Martine Richardson, your buy and hold coach. Today, I am joined with the Chad Harris. How you doing today, Chad?
I am great, Martine. Thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you again. I love that you are on the podcast because you and I, we speak the same language when it comes to buying rental properties, passive income, building wealth, no money down. We speak that language together, and I appreciate you for being on.
Hey, I'm glad to be on. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I anytime I talk to you, we naturally just like build each other up because we speak the same language, we have the same foundation, and really have the same focus. So for anybody listening, for all the listeners out there, congratulations on choosing a great podcast and having a great host who focuses on the right things. So yeah, glad to be here today.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get on this journey of being into real estate and like till where you are now?
Sure. Yeah. So how did I get on the journey? I grew up working on rental properties. My parents had rental properties, and I said, I don't ever want to have rental properties, right? That's the last thing I wanted to do. And I went off and I was a high school English teacher, and then I was a missionary overseas. And after working in Kenya, we lived in rural Kenya. We came back for the birth of my youngest son, and he had health issues and we couldn't return. And I needed to pay bills and figure out how to provide for my family. And that moment where, one, I wasn't sure, I knew I couldn't return to Kenya and do my job that I was been doing for 4 years, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to pay the bills. We didn't have a house to live in, we didn't have a vehicle, anything, and I needed to figure out solutions to all those problems. But really my bigger issue was, at my core, I felt like I was letting my family down, and I felt like they deserved more. So I don't know if anybody else has had that feeling, or maybe is having that feeling now, just that you know that somebody you care about deserves more than you're currently providing them. It's not a pleasant place to be. And so that was where I knew I committed to being a real estate investor. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I knew rentals make money and real estate is the place to be if you really want to provide something. So I went out and I started telling people, hey, I'm going to buy rentals. I'm buying houses. And at the time, recognized that there was no way for me to buy rentals. I had no idea how I was going to buy houses. I had no money. My job was ending. I looked terrible to a bank. And but I was committed to the process, right? And so as I was going out telling people and really casting a vision for myself as well, trying to convince myself, I heard similar responses over and over where people said, I wanted to do that. I always wished I'd bought rentals, but I never did it. Or I love those shows on HGTV. And I realized there was an opportunity there where I could help them do what they want, which is get into real estate by being a lender, and they could be the lender in my business instead of a bank, and I could buy the rental properties I want. And so that's how I started. And I would raise money from a private lender for the purchase of some beat up house and buy it, fix it up. And then I would refinance it with another private lender who was long term. And still today, 80 doors later, we've never used a bank for the purchase of a property. So the model works.
Awesome. That is awesome. So I'm always curious when I talk to people and they're like, oh, you know, my parents had rental properties, or my dad had rental properties, or your mom had rental properties. And I wonder, did you buy rental properties like they bought them, or did you have a totally different approach?
I bought, let's see, good question. I bought similar houses to what my parents owned, and in similar neighborhoods. So when we came back from Kenya, we were supported by one of our churches in the hometown that I grew up in. So I bought similar houses, but I bought them differently. So my father, my parents, they liked seller financing. And so they did a lot of seller financing. And my father had a job when he started for many years, so he looked better to a bank. Me, I looked terrible to a bank, and it was a hard time. I didn't fully understand seller financing when I started, but from ministry, I was truly blessed in that I knew how to raise money because I had to raise money for the ministry. And so I was used to talking to people about money. I was used to that conversation. And so when I changed from raising money for ministry to raising money for real estate, it was a very easy transition. The conversations were almost the same. And so I started buying just by raising money from private lenders completely. And it wasn't until I had about 25 doors that I started to add some seller financing in there. Because with private money, we can get really great deals by buying houses at a discount, right? Cheap, all cash. But occasionally you run into a seller where that's not really the solution that helps them the most, right? What helps them more is maybe they get a little more money, but they get it paid over time. And that's really what helps them, not the quick cash. And so once I figured out how to incorporate seller financing, then I could offer that low ball all cash offer and use private money, or I could offer a little bit better price and just pay them over time. And that allowed me to start converting more deals and grow faster.
Right. I love that you mentioned that, from ministry, you got a transferable skill of raising money that you transferred it over to real estate. And if I look back over like my life, I remember in college, I was flat broke. I didn't have any money, like to the point where I had to ask my relatives for money for books and things like that. And so when it came to talking about money to people like later on in life, it really wasn't that hard for me to do because I had been doing that in college all along. And you telling me no was not going to hurt my feelings. I'm moving on to the next person. So I've noticed how the transition, it started there, then it went to, getting money for the properties, now to doing events and sponsorships. People are like, oh, people for money. So awesome. I love that. I love that. So let's talk about raising money some. So like, what do those conversations look like for people that hasn't been their experience of, getting money from someone else to buy properties? What are those conversations look like when you're trying to raise money for your deals?
Yeah, completely. So a lot of people struggle with that conversation and they feel like it's a tense conversation or it's almost like a negotiation. But in my experience and all my clients' experiences, it's just a relaxed, casual conversation, right? That's all. There's no pressure. And so all I'm looking to do and the perspective that I want to have is that I am talking to people. My ideal lender is not in real estate, right? And I know I can raise money in real estate, but my ideal lender, the one I'm really after, is not in real estate, but they would like to be in real estate. So they understand that real estate is a good investment. It's just a little bit daunting to get into it. And I'm sure everybody listening knows people that recognize real estate is a good investment, but they've never actually invested, right? Because many people recognize it as a good thing. Not many people actually do it. And so all I am doing in the conversation is asking them what investments they like, why they would be interested in real estate, right? What kind of return they get in other investments. And then I'm helping them get what they want. So really, I'm hardly in the conversation, right? I'm just learning more about them and then helping them get what they want. So I never want to feel like I'm asking for anything. All I'm doing is serving them and helping them.
Right.
And so, I mean, as far as how the conversation goes, we're sitting at a table. Maybe it's a coffee shop. Maybe it's over lunch, right? And we're talking about family and activities and what people are into and investments. And then at some point, we convert to more about business and what my business does and the opportunity they have to be a lender in it. And at the very end, I'll ask them if this opportunity sounds good to them or not, if they'd like me to present them with an actual deal or not. And that's it. Super low key, super relaxed. And most people want that meeting because they want to hear how they could potentially share in the profits of a real estate deal. And once you're in the meeting, I mean, as long as you're relatable, conversationable, and want to help them and serve them, it's a very high conversion for people who actually want to lend in the business.
Right. So for people that are listening, right, and they're like, man, that sounds amazing. I want to sit down. I want to talk to people about this. But all the people I am around, they're broke. Where do you suggest people like go to meet people that they can have these conversations with?
Yeah, I think so. There are two great ways. And I know that is one of the biggest obstacles, right? I just don't know the right people. And I've for years done coaching on specifically how to raise private money. And everybody comes into that program believing that. Right? If people had a whole bunch of rich friends that were begging to give them money, they wouldn't come into my coaching program, right? Obviously. So there's two great ways. One is make sure you introduce yourself in a way that everybody knows what you do and how they can play a part. So just everybody you meet in any context. All right. And so, real simple introduction. My introduction is I love improving houses. I buy beat up houses, fix them up, rent them to great families, and I share the profits with friends, family, and people that I know. That's it. Right? So I'm going to, any context I'm ever in, people say, what do you do? I'm going to throw that out there. People don't ask what I do. Just how are you doing today? I'm doing great. I am so excited because I am renovating houses, making neighborhoods better, right? And go right into it, whether they ask or not, And there's a whole bunch of people that after that little bit, they say, that's interesting. How does that work? Or, okay, how would I be sharing in the profits? Who doesn't like the idea of sharing in the profits on a real estate deal, right? So that's one way. The other way is just get around people that, there are circles of people that have a higher potential of being your ideal client. And so if you end up hanging around those potential lenders, you're going to find more private lenders, right? If you're in the right circles. And we can raise money in real estate circles, obviously, because real estate circles, they already understand real estate. They understand the deal. They understand being a lender. But if we're willing to do some education with people who aren't in the real estate circles and explain to them all the benefits for them if they are a lender and all the security for them if they are a lender, then a lot of times we can get better rates and better deals. So I do have a free giveaway. I want everybody to be able to go out there and suddenly meet, right, all these potential private lenders that are already around them. But I have a list of 37 plus places to meet great private lenders. And you can get that list at True Wealth
Don't tell them.
I'm going to tell them already.
Don't tell them yet. Don't tell them yet.
I'm not even saving the best for last. So you can get the list, all these places, truewealthinvestors.com/find lenders. Okay. And that'll give you some great places because the truth is a potential great lender is all around us, right? We usually just don't recognize it and don't know how to present ourselves to have that initial conversation because our ideal lender doesn't know they can be a lender in our business, right? That's not something their financial planner has ever taught them. The financial planner just gives them limited options. So as long as we understand how we can present the opportunity to them, as well as get in the right room to meet them, it really is very easy to raise money.
So let's say, we're in the right room. We sit down with someone. They say, yes, I want to lend on your next deal. You get a deal. They want to lend on it. And you're like, God, I don't even know how to structure their money on the deal. What do people do when they get into that type of situation?
Interesting. Okay. So you get somebody who says they want to be your lender and you don't have the deal and you say, I don't know even how to structure the deal. Perfect. The good news is your lender doesn't know how to structure the deal either. So don't worry about it, right? You don't have to know right away, okay?
Right.
When you have a lender who is ready to lend to you, then that's great. Just inform them. Good. You'll get everything set up. I will bring the next deal that I get. Okay. And I would recommend, if you don't know the structure, you're going to want to use a mortgage and a note and record it with the county. I'm from Ohio. We use mortgage and notes. Some states use a slightly different document, but it's the same concept.
In Virginia, we do a deed of trust and a note.
Perfect. Yeah. So you want to check with your state to see if you're a deed of trust or a mortgage state, but you're going to want to make sure you use those documents and record them with the county so that that loan with your private lender is there when a title search is done. All right. But your lender doesn't know that. So at least in the conversation with your lender, initially, you just want to say, great, I will bring you the next deal. Go out there, start hustling, find a deal as fast as you can. You're probably not going to find one immediately, but the key to having your lender hold their money for you is that you just regularly update them, right? So if every week you reach out and you say, hey, I made 3 offers this week. I talked to so many sellers. We didn't get it done on this deal, but I'm very confident we're going to get one soon. And they will hold the money knowing that you're making progress, right? The failure I see is too many people say, great, thank you for the commitment. And then they go out and they are hustling and they're trying to find the deal, but they don't communicate that to the lender. And what a lender wants is their money in an investment getting a return. And so if it sits too long without us communicating, they're going to put that money somewhere else.
Right. I love this. One thing I'd like to share too, in terms of, raising capital from people that aren't already in real estate. I just like to always share what I'm doing with people because, like you said, you'll get the people that it sparks their interest. Like, for instance, it's one lender that I've used for quite some time now, and he owns a business and taught him how to lend, so to speak. He told me he wanted to be a lender, but he didn't tell me he was ready. But I just started sending him deals every time I would get a deal. And then I even went, well, I understand if you're not ready yet. So I went negative on him a little. And he's like, oh, I'm ready. I think that kind of made him move a little bit faster. But that strategy has worked very well for me. When people say that I'm really interested in what you're doing, like I want to get in on that, and then just start sharing, like you're saying, what you're doing. If you're like newer and you're looking for the deals, yeah, share. You made these offers, you did this. But if you're in the trenches, you're getting deals all the time, let them know you're a mover and shaker. You're making stuff happen out here.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I always want to try to convey that this train is leaving the station, right? And you want to get on. So I'm not begging you to get on, but I know you want to get on. So even when I present deals, here's the deal I currently have. Let me know by tomorrow if you want to discuss it, or I will present it to my other lenders. This deal's going to close with somebody, and if you don't act now, you might miss out, right?
So I love, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a game, but it's just human nature. We don't want to miss out on things. And I remember it was a deal that we funded recently where I had sent it to just my favorite lenders. I don't send it to the others if I get desperate or something, but I sent it out to all my favorite people. And then one of them, they said, well, I'm a little busy today. It's probably going to take me a while to get to it. And I told her, I said, oh, no worries. I sent it out to a couple of people. I'm sure somebody will say yes. And that made her act quicker.
Yeah.
100%. She didn't want to miss out on it. And all of a sudden, I had a yes within the hour. And she said she was busy until the evening. Yeah. So people, it's just human nature. We don't want to miss out on opportunities. And if someone they like working with you, you're already doing good business, y'all work well together, then a lot of the times when you have something, they don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So this stuff that Chad's telling you is nothing but the truth over here.
Well, and I like the way you put it because, even the Do It Movement podcast, right? The people
Mm-hmm.
listening, we're action oriented, and we're going to build our business by
Right.
taking action, right? And our ideal
Right.
lenders should be action oriented. And so
Right.
we're not manipulating really by saying, here's the timeline, either you lend or I'm taking it to somebody else. We're just reflecting that this is happening. This deal's going to benefit somebody. And I hope it's you,
Right.
but if it's not, I'm going to, somebody else will take it and just help
Right.
initiate them be action oriented.
Right, right, right. So I want to take a step back from the lender side of things right now. You said that when you got into real estate, you went straight to rental properties. And I don't typically see people take that path. What led you to want to go straight to rentals instead of, flipping, or I don't know, you said you didn't have any money, but maybe wrapping money. I know a guy that started lending. He didn't have any money. He started lending. So, what made you go to rental properties?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I mean, it would have made more sense for me to do flipping or wholesaling or something for immediate money because I didn't have any money. And my kids at the
Right.
time wanted to eat regularly, which, I don't know what their problem was, but they really like food and shelter and heat. But I
Right.
knew in the back of my mind, if I could focus on rentals, it was going to be tough now, but long term, it was really going to pay off. Right. As long as I could hold that property, the more properties I can hold on to, in the end, there will be a great reward. And I
Mm-hmm.
was somewhat blessed in that I'd been living in rough, situation physically overseas in the desert with solar panels. And so living in a simple house and driving a beat up truck. And that wasn't that big a stretch for me. But the only way I was able to do
Right.
it, right? Most people think they need money for a down payment to buy a rental property. So when I say I bought a whole bunch of rentals with none of my own money, that doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. But then when I also say I also supported my family before I had any performing rentals, that is a stretch, right? So the only way I was
Mm-hmm.
able to do it was I bought really good deals. And when I purchased the property, I raised more than the purchase and rehab costs. So I got a bonus to support my family on the purchase. And then when I refinanced, I raised more than that initial loan. So there was another bonus, right? So my lender was
I
paid off
love
and
it.
I got paid. And so I wasn't making very much monthly, especially because I structured loans with my lenders all wrong. But that's a whole different story. I wasn't making much money monthly, but every loan I did, every purchase I made money. And so that really
Mm-hmm.
incentivized me that I just had to add deals, right? I just had to keep adding
Right.
houses no matter what it took. Yeah, so it
Right.
is a very odd route where it was just a buy and hold investor from day one. But
Well, that's
I should
awesome.
add, down the road, it did pay off really well, right? All those people that said I worked too hard in the beginning now kind of complain that I take too much time off and travel too much now. So it all worked out.
I love it. I love it. So, in order for you to get into these types of deals, you had to be really good at finding really good deals. So, like, how did you find the deals that you were structuring the money on?
Yeah, perfect question. So, I am big on just massive effort on the front end. And especially, when you feel like your back's against the wall and you have to
Mm-hmm.
survive no matter what or succeed no matter what. So, initially, I started in 2013. There were still foreclosures in 2013. And if you had cash, you could find great deals, right? There were a lot of houses
Mm,
that didn't qualify for financing because the plumbing had been stolen and the house had been damaged and whatever else. So it was only available to all cash buyers, which I
right.
really wasn't, but I looked like an all cash buyer because I could get cash from other people. Okay. So that's how
Right.
I started. And then as the foreclosures dried up, then I started marketing direct to sellers. And that was anything and everything, right? That was relationships I had. People brought me deals. I had bandit signs. I had truck signs. I had direct mail, postcards, you name it. I was trying it. I was doing everything. So I was doing yellow letters. I was doing yellow envelopes, right? It doesn't, whatever crazy idea I heard, I tried it. So
So, out of all of those things that you tried, what did you find to be like, your bread and butter? Like, this is it. This is the one.
Yeah, interesting. Up until about 2020, direct mail was the bread and butter. And I always did better with letters. There was like sometimes a longer delay on the response, but people tended to keep the letter more than they kept the postcard. And so that was really my bread and butter from probably 15 doors up to maybe 50. And then after 2020, I wasn't sure where things were going to go. I shut down all my marketing, and oddly, I still just kept having deals come to me. But at that point, I was doing much more being in front of people, being on social media, talking at real estate groups. And so it was just networking and being that guy who knows how to solve problems. And so I think it really comes down to your personality and what you can consistently do, right? Social media is amazingly powerful. And there's some people that really don't like being on social media. But for somebody who likes being on social media and they can do it day in and day out, you can really leverage that network and get a lot of deals just coming straight to you.
Right. There's actually someone in the fam that's my coaching program that she does an excellent job on social media. Everything is organic that she gets. And she said something that resonated with me. She was like, doing content on social media actually isn't that difficult. You just have to document what you're doing. She said, just document, and just share it with people, and it will resonate with people. And I said, wow, that's simple, but it's so true. Because when I'm
So
looking at
true.
her stuff, it's just, hey, look what I did. And it's inspiring people, and it's getting, hey, help me. I want you to help me. So it's amazing how powerful it is. So I agree with you completely.
And it's the people that do really well on it are like you were talking about, where they just turn on the camera and they start talking, right? There's not really a lot of
Right.
production or, the people who struggle with it playing out that post for 30 minutes and are reluctant to start talking or typing or whatever it is. And so if you're that type of person, I maybe wouldn't worry about it. I'd focus on direct mail or whatever's more exciting to you. You want to enjoy the process.
Right. So, what's a resource, or I don't know, a book, something that really helped you that you think can help the people that are listening to the podcast today?
Yeah, 100%. So, I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time. So, I would say this podcast is an excellent resource. Double down on that one. And I love reading books too, constantly. But one that I have reread many, many times is The One Thing by Gary Keller. And just
That's back there.
the concept, I love the domino theory where there is one specific thing that when you solve that problem, it'll make every other problem easier. And in real estate, it is so easy to get caught up in 101 problems or 101 strategies or whatever it is. We get pulled in every direction. And it has always helped me to just be able to focus on one thing. If I can accomplish the one thing, everything else gets easier. So if you haven't read
I
that, check
love
that
it.
out.
I love it. I know it's right here.
Nice. Yeah, there it is. I
That's a
knew
good
you
one.
had
That's
to
a
have
good
it
one. I
because
like
any
that.
book I really like, you're going to like.
Right. So, can you share again, just in case anybody missed it? What was, you said, the 37 or plus places you could find your private lenders? Can you share where listeners can get that from again?
Yeah, 100%. So my website, truewealthinvestors.com. Go there, go to truewealthinvestors.com/find lender. Find lenders with an S. Yeah. And you can get 37 plus places to find those private lenders. It's not out of state. It's in your neighborhood. You're bumping into them all the time. So once you get the list, it'll open your eyes to really all the potential lenders. Are definitely be worth your while.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Chad, for adding so much value to this episode. I'm hoping people, they rewind this and they listen to it over and over again because you dropped a lot of gems that can really help them. And for people that are listening, I don't want you to just listen to what Chad is saying and say, that sounds nice, and then do nothing. Use this information to change your life. Go out there, get uncomfortable, face your fears. Your freedom is on the other side of your fears. Get out there, get uncomfortable, and do those things that you can help get the things that he's talking about. Let's not just talk about it, let's do it. So,
Come on.
Chad, for the folks that are listening, right? If they want to stay in touch with you, you know, man, I like this guy. I need to see him more often. Where do they go so they can, you know, follow you?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm active on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, One Rental to Freedom. You can join that group where we focus specifically on how to build a portfolio of rentals, or at truewealthinvestors.com. You can find links to podcast, YouTube, everything from there.
I love it. I love it. And if you want to join another rental property group, my group is called The Freedom Inc. It's on Facebook, completely free. I show you how to buy your first rental property with no money down. It has been a pleasure, Chad, having you on today. And until next time, Do It Movement listeners. See ya.
Thank you for tuning into our show. If you need more handholding on your rental property investor journey, book a 15-minute strategy session with Martine. We can see if you're a fit for the Freedom Inc. fam, link in the show notes. Also be sure to join the free Freedom Inc. Facebook group, where each week Martine goes over a real-life rental property investor deal and shows you how the deal was found, how to get the money, and how to make it cash flow and much more. If you'd like to connect with Lori, be sure to email her at vitalizeproperties@live.com. Until next time, see ya.